Hey, Hermodice Curriculata again. So, what is sexual dwarfism? Well, it is kind of implied in the name really, when organisms display dwarfism but with normal sexual development, which means they may be much smaller in size compared to their peers, but still be sexually mature and fully able to reproduce, just like those around them. In order to explain sexual dwarfism, I would have to use the genus of polychaetes called Osedax, or more commonly known as bone worms or zombie worms. We will see why they're called these names in a minute. Before I start on the details of sexual dwarfism, I would like to give a few summary points on the Osedax genus itself for context. Please note that this isn't going to be a detailed video on Osedax genus as a whole, but if you would like to learn more about them, please check out Facts and Motion's video on the zombie worm. Link in the description below, it is super informative and very interesting. Osedax belong to the family of Cyboglinidae. Members of this family are usually found in resource-poor areas, such as hydrothermal vents, dead carcasses, coal seeps, and etc. They lack a stomach and mouth. Like the other members of the Cyboglinids family, in replacement of the stomach, they have an organ called a trophosome, which contains sulfur-oxidizing bacteria to carry out metabolic reactions for the worm. I have explained chemosymbiosis in a lot more detail in my previous video, so please don't forget to check that one out. They are found living on the remains of dead whale carcasses and can form very big colonies this way. They secrete acid to penetrate bones. This makes sense, since they don't have a mouth and therefore can't use any type of fanged pharynx or teeth for penetration. They have to rely on acidic chemicals to break down bones of whale carcasses. And lastly, they display sexual inequality, which is what we will be talking about in this video. The females are much larger in comparison to the males, while the males are almost microscopic in size, and the males actually live inside the females themselves. Here's the anatomy of a female Osedax worm called Osedax ruboplumus. The plume, made up of ciliated tentacles, is used for respiration and contains lots of hemoglobin, which allows for respiration to happen. The palps are where the males live, and they run the entire length of the body up until the roots. The trunk is the entire section, from the plume to the root, and is encased by a gelatinous tube formed by the worm itself. And the root is what the worm uses to ground itself into the whale carcass, and it contains the bacteria used for metabolism. Think of it like a flower plant. The flower is the plume, the trunk is the stem, and the roots are, well, roots. Now we get on to the most important part. How does this remarkable sexual dynamic actually take place? So as we noted earlier, harems of microscopic males are found in the gelatinous tubes around the females. These males have yolk reserves to produce sperm for fertilization. This yolk reserve is depleted throughout their lives, and after they're all gone, they lose the ability to reproduce after this. The sperm travels up the oviduct near the plume and fertilizes the egg. Females of O. ruboplumus can release hundreds of fertilized oocytes at a time. Pretty straightforward, but how is their sex actually determined? Humans have their sex determined by their chromosomes, but Osedax worms have their sex determined by a process called environmental sex determination. Environmental sex determination is when sex is determined not by a genetic cue, but by the immediate environment of the organism after fertilization. So if an Osedax larva lands on a whale carcass, it will develop into a female. But if it lands on the female itself, it will develop into a male and get incorporated inside the females. This is because, unlike in humans, who have a gene coding for either male or female sexes, Osedax have autosomal chromosomes that code for both sexes, and depending on where they land, the genes are turned either on or off. The advantages for this reproduction tactic should be pretty obvious. Being born in nutrient-poor environments, the mortality rate for most Osedax larvae is very high, and most don't find carcasses to settle on. Meanwhile, the reproductive success of a single female increases over time, since there are more larvae landing on them over time and forming lots of males to provide sperm for them for fertilization. This gives room to provide lots of offspring at once, increasing the survival of the species. That is all I have to say about Polychaete harems. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought of today's topic. I will see you next time.